So, good morning, everyone. Today, we would be talking about the mechanisms that are involved in the development of autoimmune disorders. So, first of all, what is the learning objective of this class is you will be getting to know, you will be understanding the different mechanisms that are involved in the development of various autoimmune diseases. Along with that, various contributing factors that are responsible for this autoimmune disorders. After this lecture, you will be able to learn the role of reactive lymphocytes, autoreactive lymphocytes, how they get failed, what are the failure mechanism involved that ultimately evoke the autoimmunity, and the main reasons behind achieving this state of autoimmunity and disorders. So there are many mechanisms that are that have been proposed to be involved in breaking the tolerance. In our previous lectures, we have also discussed about that there are three tolerance lines. That means central tolerance, peripheral tolerance, and local tolerance that sometimes arise due to the overlapping of the central tolerance and peripheral tolerance. So when this tolerance is breakdown or breached in a particular human, in that case the condition known as autoimmunity arises. Because when this tolerance is failed, in that case the deletion of autoreactive lymphocyte is diminished. That means the point is, what are autoreactive lymphocytes? Those lymphocytes that are produced against our self antigens. Those are known as autoreactive lymphocytes. In normal healthy individual, what is happening? In that case, these autoreactive lymphocytes that get activated in response to self antigens, they are cleared due to these central, peripheral and local tolerance mechanisms. But in case if this system is breakdown, in that case these autoreactive lymphocytes won't be cleared from the body. If it is not cleared from the body, in that case it can give rise to many disorders. And this breakdown of tolerance is also coupled with various factors that we have already discussed, that is genetic factors, that there are many genes that are responsible for causing different kind of autoimmune disorders. For example, we discussed about rheumatoid arthritis, we discussed about multiple sclerosis in which HLA-DR2 gene is involved. There can be the involvement of sex hormones also. There can be many environmental interferences also, that too in terms of various kind of infections. Next is, it can be stress, it can be epigenetic conditions. So all of these in a very coordinated fashion give rise to autoimmunity, because this central tolerance is basically governed by the presence of T cell. So if your T cell is not proliferating properly, or the clonal selection is not happening, and you are not able to get the complete the selective regulatory T cells also, in that case your central tolerance mechanism is breached. In case your peripheral tolerance, in that case the pro-inflammatory mediators, for example cytokines, T regulatory cells, autoantibodies, that means the antibodies that are produced by plasma cells, if that is not functioning properly, in that case your layer of peripheral tolerance is breached. Similarly, due to the overlapping of both of this central and peripheral, there comes a local tolerance. That means if the programmed cell death of a particular cell is not happening properly, in that case the autoantigens are being produced at a very large level. In that case, your local tolerance is breached. So this is the incomplete overview that how these mechanisms operate. And there is one more point, molecular mimicry, that we discussed in our previous lectures also. There comes many points whenever some abnormal presentation of self antigens is happening because of these reactive lymphocytes. Sometimes major histocompatibility antigens are expressed in a very high level onto the surface of cells. If some coupling of self and non-self antigens are happening, some self antigens are being overproduced, sometimes epitope spreading problem is there, sometimes polyclonal lymphocyte activation is happening. So all of these things contribute in the molecular mimicry mechanism, which we have already discussed. Now the point is, whatever the layers of tolerance we were discussing about, these were the mechanism of these central and peripheral tolerance. Now, this self-tolerance that is imposed by our body against self-antigen, that is, it particularly depend upon a very coordinated and synergistic action of a variety of mechanisms. That some of them contribute to the central tolerance and some of them contribute to the peripheral tolerance. For example, as you can see here, here I have written type of tolerance. Type of tolerance is central. So the mechanism would be deletion and editing. And this activity, this mechanistic approach would be happening in the thymus and bone marrow. Both of these are primary lymphoid organs. That means the central tolerance is basically governed at thymus and bone marrow. On the other hand, these mechanisms, that is antigen segregation, peripheral energy, regulatory cells, cytokine deviation, and clonal deletion, all of these five mechanisms contribute to the peripheral tolerance. That means in antigen segregation, there are some physical barriers to the self antigens so that they cannot switch to the lymphoid system. In that case, if it happens, in that case, your peripheral tolerance is reached. Suppose your self antigen is being transported to the lymphoid system. You can say peripheral organs, that is thyroid or pancreas, and there the cells are being produced or cells are producing abnormal self antigens that can lead to different diseases. For example, in pancreas, if some self antigen is being recognized as foreign antigen, in that case, diabetes disease is happening because of the beta cell of Langerhans. Next is peripheral energy. In that case, the mechanism is cellular inactivation by the weak signaling without co-stimulus. And again, this very mechanism is happening in the secondary lymphoid tissues. Another is regulatory cells. But because at every point of immune response, at every immune mechanism that is activated in response to any kind of infection, in that case cytokines are produced, chemokines are produced, pro-inflammatory mediators are produced. In that case, in if this mechanism is being operated, in that case the cytokines will be suppressed. There would be no intracellular signals. And again, the site of action of this very mechanism is secondary lymphoid tissue and the various site of inflammation. You can say at every tissue site. Next is cytokine deviation. Now, there are all these cytokines, we know about it, all these cytokines are basically produced by different kind of T helper cells. So in that case, this differentiation to T helper 2, this 2 is subtype 2 cells, it limit the inflammatory cytokine secretion. That means the cytokines that are involved in mediating the inflammatory pathway, that would be obstructed. So the site is again secondary lymphoid tissue and the various sites of inflammation on which the tissue injury is happening. Next is clonal deletion, apoptosis, and post-activation. That means programmed cell death of any target cell. Again, the site is secondary lymphoid tissue and site of inflammation. The point is, all of these central tolerance and the various mechanism or the type of tolerance involved in the peripheral tolerance, this operate in a very coordinated fashion in the normal individuals. But this normal mechanism is if somehow it gets obstructed or it is showing some abnormal expression, in that case a diseased condition known as autoimmunity is evoked. That means the proposed mechanism, the bottom line is the main proposed mechanism is breakdown of this self tolerance in the individuals. And this breakdown is basically happening due to forbidden clone, altered antigen, sequestered antigen, immunologic deficiency theory, and genetic influence. We will be discussing all these points in detail also. because that means if the regulation of our immune system is obstructed, that is why the autoimmunity is happening. That means our body will not be able to differentiate between self antigens and non self antigens. Now the first is forbidden clone. Now, what do you mean by this forbidden clone? Forbidden means the clones, or you can say such type of lymphocytes that arise due to the mutation, but they do not express certain surface antigens. That means those surface antigens are either destroyed or they don't express that thing. So, because of this alteration, because of this, you can say change, the host recognize these self lymphocytes, these self antigens as foreign molecules. Because of that, our self tolerance is breached. You can say if a particular cell is self, but that very cell is not expressing the self antigen that a host body can recognize. Either it can be due to the mutation that the expression is not happening, or that surface antigen is completely destroyed. In that case, that very cell would be recognized as non-self molecule and your tolerance layer would be breached. Next important point is altered antigen. That means, as the name suggests, the antigen would be altered. If any property of self antigen is altered, in that case, the host won't be able to recognize that very molecule or that very antigen as self. Sometimes what happens, the surface antigens present onto the host cells, they get altered due to the any kind of chemical, biological or physical means. Suppose for example, due to the exposure of radiation or due to some infection. In that case, those surface antigens which were previously being recognized as self antigens, right now they change to altogether new antigenic determinant, due to which the host will start recognizing those antigenic determinant as foreign antigen, due to which against your self tolerance layer would be breached. Because if you are keep on attacking your healthy tissues, your own cells, in that case the disease condition would be appearing. Next point is sequestered antigen. Now the point is, what happens is some of the antigens in our body, they remain in the hidden state, or you can say they remain in the silent condition, or they are in the quiescent stage. For example, some antigens, all of these antigens, they do not get exposed to our immune cells so that they can recognize itself throughout our life. But they came into the picture, or you can say they get activated only in case of certain conditions. You can say after getting exposure to some trauma or some tissue injury or some surgery. Because of that, those antigens they get activated, and from their quiescent stage they jump into the activated stage. In that case, those hidden antigens, or you can say the sequestered antigens, they are recognized by our immune system, by the host cell as foreign antigen. Because of that, those antigens, after being recognized as foreign, our immune cells would be start acting upon that. They will start producing auto antibody. They will start producing cytotoxic T cells against them so as to clear those things. So while doing clearing, again, it is attacking the host tissue. Our own cells are being attacked. In that case, again, this will give rise to a autoimmunity condition. Now the point is, where are these kind of antigens located? What are the sites? What are the privileged sites that act as a probable target or the most plausible target? So these are few immunologically privileged sites, that is brain, eye, testis, uterus, and hamster cheek pouch. In the normal condition, these sites are under constant immune surveillance. That, for example, whatever antigens are present onto the cells, they are being recognized by the lymphocytes. Those autoreactive lymphocytes are being cleared from the body. So there is no, diseased condition happening. In that case, the extracellular fluid containing the cytokines or chemokines that are produced, they do not enter into the lymphatic system. If they are not entering the lymphatic system, no naive lymphocytes would be accumulating around those tissues so as to clear those antigens or so as to attack those cells. However, this thing is also being triggered by the presence of inhibitory cytokines like TGF beta. This TGF beta is tumor growth factor beta. And also because all of these cells also express fast ligand. This is a kind of ligand that is being attached to the fast receptor present onto the phagocytic cells. So this complete thing is happening in the normal individual. That means if the antigens are present, they are being recognized as self, and autoreactive lymphocytes that are being produced, they are cleared from the body and there is no disease condition arising. But these sequestered antigens, sometimes they, if they are in hidden state after some trauma or infection, this tissue barrier is disrupted. This tissue barrier that I was talking about, that there would be no naive lymphocyte accumulation or there would be no extracellular fluid that can enter into the lymphatic system. In that case, this tissue barrier would be disrupted. If you have got some infection, if you are a immunocompromised person, if you are suffering from a any heart disease, or you have undergone some trauma, or you had some surgery, in that case, these self-reactive, these autoreactive lymphocytes that are generated during the normal immune surveillance, they will be passing on to the primary lymphoid sites. They will be entering the lymphatic system. But however, in the normal individuals, these cells cannot enter into the lymphatic system so that the clearance can be achieved. In that case, they will be getting the excess, due to which infection or inflammation will provide some co-stimulatory signals. That means the cytokine production or chemokine production, because of which these antigens, these self antigens, would be cleared, or you can say would be attacked by our normal immune response, or you can say this normal immune response which is obstructed by these self-reactive lymphocytes. Now let's take up an example, because I'm talking about if you had some trauma or you are having some surgery, in that case this thing is happening. So I'm taking the example of sympathetic ophthalmia. You can say if trauma to one eye, these are two eyes that I have shown. If a one eye is being under some traumatic condition, what would be happening? Trauma to one eye will lead to the release of sequestered intraocular protein antigens. Now the point is sequestered. Sequestered means hidden antigens that were not previously exposed to the immune cells. Those sequestered antigens would be released by other eye. As you can see here, these cytokines are being released. These sequestered antigens are being released. Now these antigens, against these antigens, the autoreactive lymphocytes would be generated, and these antigens would be transported to the sites, to the lymphatic system. It is entering the lymph node. This is the structure of lymph node. All of these antigens are entered into the lymphatic system, and where it will be activating the all the T cells. Or if all the T cells are activated, these T cells will differentiate into the effector T cells, and these effector T cells that are being produced in response to these antigens, they will be returning via bloodstream and they encounter antigen in the both eyes. So this is the condition that sometimes happens, and it lead to a condition sympathetic ophthalmia. Now another important point is immunologic deficiency theory. Basically, this thing is related related with the very increased frequency of autoantibody production. If large number of autoantibodies are being produced, this can affect, it can be affected by either some deficiency in our immune cells or immune system, or also due to the age. That means immune system deficiency that is happening due to age. Normally we say the immune system of elder people is weak, because however some deficiencies are happening. These deficiencies can normally arise either due to some mutation or loss of immune regulatory power, due to which our body start, or you can say our body will stop discriminating between self antigen and non self antigen, and those self antigen will start acting as a foreign antigen, and against which the immune response would be triggered. Next is genetic influence. However, this thing is very important whenever you are talking about autoimmunity, because it is very well recognized that there are many immune disorders that sometimes they are gender specific. That some kind of diseases they are more prominent or they are more prevalent in females as compared to the males, or they are more prevalent in certain kind of families. You can say in that case, certain genetic makeup of a particular individual plays a role, and all of these things, and why we are proposing these things, because all of these things are proposed by, are determined by a proper research studies. So the genetic link between the evoking of, you can say, immune response against self antigen as well as the disease, they are mainly linked to one gene, that is HLA gene. HLA is human leukocyte antigen. So this gene is basically responsible, or you can say basically involved, or it plays a very important role while activating any kind of autoimmune disorder. So here I have mentioned the association of this HLA, that is human leukocyte antigen gene, along with sex, with susceptibility to autoimmune diseases. As you can see here, I have listed the various kind of diseases, autoimmune diseases. Here it is the name of HLA allele, that which gene in the human leukocyte antigen cluster is involved. What is the relative risk and the sex ratio, that in which kind of gender it is more prevalent. As you can see, the spondylitis condition, the main allele that is involved is B27, and it is more prevalent in females. However, another is multiple sclerosis, DR2 gene is involved. The SLE disease, DR3 gene is involved. Type 1 insulin dependent diabetes, in that case, DR3 and DR4. It can be in the heterozygotic condition that is involved. So the relative risk is quite high, and these all genes are basically responsible. The main cluster that is involved in various kind of autoimmune disorders, that is DR gene, as you can see here. DR2, DR3, DR4, and these genes are basically involved in the progression of many autoimmune disorders. As you can see, hip joints in case of spondylitis. If you are talking about acute anterior uveitis, in that case, eyes are targeted. Kidneys in case of good pasture syndrome. If you are talking about central nervous system, in that case, multiple sclerosis is involved. Graves disease, that is involved in the thyroid. Muscles, in case of muscle, it is myasthenia gravis. In case of systematic diseases, that is SLE. In pancreas, diabetes, that everybody knows about it. In case of small joints, that is rheumatoid arthritis, that the inflammation is happening in the joints. In case of skin, it is vulgaris. In case of thyroid, again, Hashimoto's. I have discussed this Hashimoto and Graves disease in our previous lecture also, in which we took up an example of thyroid gland as a major site for, as a major site in which self antigens are being recognized as foreign antigens. However, there are many gene defects that are associated with these autoimmune diseases. That means due to the combined effect of multiple genes that will comprises of various cytokines, or you can say CTLA4. This is an inhibitory T cell surface molecule. It is present onto the surface of cytotoxic T cell, and many complement factors. That means many proteins that are involved in the different complement fixation pathway. All of these things, all of these molecules in a coordinated fashion can give rise to certain gene defects that ultimately lead to autoimmune disorder. However, there are many kind of autoimmune disorders that are, normally related with a single gene mutation. Now, a particular gene is undergoing a mutation. In the previous slide, I have just discussed that there can be multiple genes playing a role. However, there are many diseases in which a single gene mutation is responsible for causing disorder. For example, FAS. This is a FAS gene that will block the process of apoptosis, that is programmed cell death. In that case, the self-reactive lymphocytes that are generated against the self-antigens, they won't be able to clear out their apoptotic death that is present in the normal individual, that would be obstructed, and that will lead to a disease, autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome, that is ALS. Another is autoimmune regulator gene, AIRA gene. Basically, this is a transcription factor that is involved in, in regulating the expression of tissue specific antigens by cluster of differentiation in the organ thymus. If this gene is not present, or its expression is decreased, in that case the self antigens would be producing in a less amount in the thymus, because of which negative selection procedure would be, that is the negative selection of T cell, the mechanism that is happening in the thymus, that would be obstructed. However, the positive selection process would be keep on going. Because of that, a disease that arises is autoimmune polyadenopathy, candidiasis, ectodermal dystrophy. So these are few examples of single gene mutation. Now the contributing factors after getting to know all the mechanism is, first is defects in the immune system. It can be anything. Defect in the any type of cell or any kind of phagocytic cell or immune cell. Influence of hormones. Influence of hormones can also affect the progression of a particular autoimmune disorder in a particular type of gender. And another is environmental condition. That means either it is a viral attack or some infection or some kind of stress. Now the point is, defects can be in the natural killer cells or in the secretion of ILs, that means interleukins, while doing the process of phagocytosis. All of these things, interleukins, natural killer cells, complement proteins, they contribute to the defect in immune system. There are certain hormones that play a very important role, and the basic example is estrogens. It has been found that this estrogen, increased amount of this estrogen, can enhance the B cell activation, and it can suppress the activation, or you can say activity, of Treg cell, that is regulatory T cell. Another is environmental conditions such as infectious agents, as I have just discussed, like viruses, bacteria, or some drugs. If sometimes what happens is, if you take some drug or say take some medicine, that sometimes impose some side effects. In that case, that condition is known as drug-induced autoimmune disorder, and that ultimately lead to autoimmune conditions. In case of hormones, the biggest difference in gender-wise autoimmune disorder is basically found between menopause and menarche. Relatively more of the females are affected during the years of cycling. And this process is main intensified during pregnancy, because in that moment the hormones are fluctuating at a very high pace. That is why some of the autoimmune disorders, they are more prevalent in females as compared to males. I'll be taking one basic example. While a woman is pregnant, in that case they are normally administered to a diabetes check, because in that case hormones are fluctuating at a very high pace. Because of that, sometimes it has been reported that some women develop diabetes during the pregnancy, and that comes a lifelong liability on them. So that is the why the hormones play a very important role in the autoimmune disease progression in the gender context. Now, another was viral infections, or you can say environmental factors that play a role. The virus infection, it can break the tolerance in many ways. For example, if you are taking, this has been, basically being checked in various mice models. You have suppose constructed a hybrid gene of LCMV nucleoprotein expressed from the insulin promoter. This is a rat insulin promoter in which this LCMV nucleoprotein is integrated. You have prepared one transgenic mice that is expressing this very nucleoprotein only in the pancreatic B cell, because it is a targeted expression of that very gene. Because this nucleoprotein would be expressing only in the beta cells of pancreas, that is beta cell of Langerhans, and it will provoke no T cell response against that. Okay, this is the normal condition. So you have made a transgenic mice in this gene is expressing. Now this NP specific CD8 cells, because this gene is expressing, against which our immune system will start producing cells. If our immune system, it will produce cytotoxic T cells, that is CD8 positive cytotoxic T cells. Those T cells can be aspirated out from the mice and it can then be get tested. For example, as you can see in this picture, NP specific CD8 T cells are activated by LCMV infection because we have made the mice infected with this LCMV, after which this activated CD8 T cells infiltrate isolates, will kill the beta cell that are expressing this nucleoprotein, and this will result to the condition of diabetes, and that person will be developing diabetic condition. Now, what are the mechanism in which this, various kind of infections can break the our tolerance layer? The first mechanism is disruption of cell tissue barrier. That means if some virus is trying to, evade the host system, in that case, due to the release of sequestered self antigens, that means the antigens that were hidden, they will get released and they will activate non-tolerized cells. For example, sympathetic ophthalmia that I have just discussed in the previous slide also. Another is infection of antigen presenting cells. That means because antigen presenting cells, the main work of antigen presenting cell is what? It will trap the foreign antigen and it will present to the T lymphocyte so as to clear it. So the similar way, if some infection is happening in case of that antigen presenting cell, what would be happening? Co-stimulating signal on the antigen presenting cells could be induced. For example, you can see this. I have mentioned two co-stimulatory signals, that is CD28 and B7, that are mainly involved in recognizing antigen presenting cell by T lymphocyte. Basically, its example is effect of adjuvants in induction of this disease. Adjuvant means those molecules that are normally administered inside the vaccines that so as to increase the efficacy. Another mechanism is binding of pathogen to self protein. Sometimes some particular pathogen, they act as a carrier to allow anti-self response. For example, if some bacteria is there, here I have shown this is a bacteria and onto the surface of which self proteins are attached. So this protein, this bacteria would be recognized by the antibody that is produced by B cell. It will be presenting these self antigens because it will recognize these antigens as the proteins present onto the bacterial surface. However, they are self proteins. So in that case, our T helper cell will start secreting your cytokines and chemokines, and it will be producing antibodies so as to kill this antigen. And these antigens are but self antigens. And the condition is interstitial nephritis. Another mechanism is molecular mimicry. That means some cross-reactive antibodies or T cells are produced. In that case, the particular example is rheumatic fever that normally develop after the infection of streptococci. Streptococci produce certain kind of protein, that is streptococci A. That protein basically is having a similar structure to that of some self antigens. So in while you are having some streptococci infection, that protein which is produced in our body, sometimes our immune system make a mistake and instead of recognizing that protein, it start recognizing our it will start recognizing our self proteins. Okay, next is diabetic sclerosis. Another is superantigen. Superantigen means a polyclonal activation of autoreactive T cells. That means large number of autoreactive T cells would get activated. In that case, the classical example is rheumatoid arthritis, in which the joints get turned due to the inflammation in the synovial
A very important point is what are the infections and what are their HLA association and tissue damage. What are the consequences? In that case, I have listed one table in which there are different kind of infections are listed, their association with the HLA genes and the consequences. That means which kind of disease would be caused. For example, group A streptococcus that I have just narrated, that the streptococci infection, in that case a streptococci A protein is produced. However, its association with the HLA is not currently known till now, but it basically give rise to a condition known as rheumatic fever. Next is Chlamydia trachomatis, which is associated with HLA-B27 gene, and it give rise to another form of arthritis, that is Ritter syndrome. Similarly, there is a list that infection is being caused by different organisms like Shigella, Salmonella, Yersinia, Campylobacter, and they all are associated with the same gene, that is HLA-B27, and all of them give rise to reactive arthritis. Next is Borrelia burgdorferi. Again, it is associated with DR2 region. As in the previous slide also we have discussed this, that this DR2 region is associated with many kind of autoimmune diseases. So it is associated with chronic arthritis in case of Lyme disease. Now, these are the several ways which we have just discussed. This is the consolidated version of that. That is, there are five mechanisms: disruption of cell tissue barrier, and the example is sympathetic ophthalmia, infection of antigen presenting cell in which the co-stimulatory activities get induced. In that case, the adjuvants are the main key players in that. Next is binding of pathogen to the self protein. That means whenever a pathogen bind to the proteins that are self in nature, in that case the autoimmune diseases may arrive, and the different mechanisms play a role. In that case, the example was interstitial nephritis, then was molecular mimicry, which was involved in the rheumatic fever, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, and last one was the superantigen, in which the main autoimmune disease was rheumatoid arthritis. So whenever we are talking about all these systems, all these autoimmunity, autoimmune diseases, now how we can control these autoimmune responses? Basically, in the normal individual, so as to control this condition of autoimmunity, regulatory T cells are the main players. So the main function of this regulatory T cells are to suppress the produced self-reactive lymphocytes that may react to an antigen that have not been originated or recognized by themselves. In that case, such kind of regulatory tolerance that is being imposed by these regulatory T cells, they are the most dominant immune suppression mechanism that is present in the human body. And if in case the defect in this regulatory mechanism is happening, or you can say due to some reason this the activity of this T regulatory cell is interrupted, in that case it will give rise to autoimmune disease. And the main example is multiple sclerosis, in which the gene associated was HLA-DR2. Now there are some secondary effects of the autoimmune reactions also, as you can see in the picture, and here is the list. That is, first is deposit of immune complex. First of all, what were the immune complexes? That means in which the antigens are bound with the specific antibody and they form a complex, and then they keep on circulating in the blood. So these are small antigen antibody complexes that are formed in the circulation. As you can see, the red color one are the antigens, and these Y-shaped structure in the blue color are antibody. This is the first one. It can further lead to the activation of the complement proteins that will further lead to the deposition of many C3b proteins. C3b protein is the main activator, which we have previously discussed in our earlier lectures also, that goes and combines with these immune complexes and results in the formation of C3 convertase. And after that, this complete complex, it go on and it binds with the complement receptor CR1 that is present on the erythrocyte surface, and they are further bound to C3b, and it leads to the activation of the further receptors. As you can see, this is the bacteria, these are the CR1 receptor. These immune complexes bound with the C3b protein, it is being attached to this one. That these cells are where it is present, these are present in the spleen and liver, where the phagocytic cell, they act upon and they relieve these complexes from here so as to trigger the amplification, and the complete process is happening in sequestration is happening in spleen and liver. So these are, I have incorporated few links for the further reading. These are the NPTEL website links on which you can further go on and study in detail the complete written portion as well as the mechanistic details. This is the book, that is Cube, the chapter 16. It is mentioning everything. These are the few MCQs which pertaining to this lesson, pertaining to this session, in which, for example, how does a person develop an immune response? When is the clearance of autoreactive lymphocyte will be taking place? Which is not the which is not the mechanism that is involved in the peripheral tolerance, and which are the immunologically privileged site in the host body, and which one for, again there is, I have placed one question on HLA-DR2, which we have discussed in this lecture also. HLA-DR2 is a risk factor of which disease? Viral, how the viral infection break the tolerance, what tissues or organs are the target sites, what are the examples of the autoimmune disorders. So all these MCQs I have uploaded on LMS, from there you can attempt it. Thank you. And in the next lecture, we would be covering in detail all the autoimmune disorders, that what is the gene association, what are the pathological effects, what is pathophysiology, what is etiology of that very disease. Thank you so much for listening.